Hey, this is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and this week we are driving the Lexus RX. So this is the best-selling SUV in Lexus's lineup, and it's not new for 2022. They've really done nothing to this vehicle at all except add this Grecian Waters color to the F-Sport trim and make fog lamps available as a standalone option. That's it. So in this review, what we are going to do is instead focus on what I like and what I didn't like about this vehicle. So let's take a closer look right now. So the first thing on my like list is going to have to be the powertrain. Now, because this is the 450h, that means this is the hybrid version. So in addition to having the hybrid powertrain, you've got a V6 engine under the hood, and together with the electric motor, that engine combines to put out 308 horsepower, and I found that to be fairly zippy, which coincidentally is probably what is hurting my fuel economy numbers. You're supposed to get about 30 miles per gallon in combined driving in this vehicle, and right now I'm getting about 24.2 miles per gallon. That is not what was intended. To pile on while I'm sitting in the driver's seat, I'll say the number 2 thing on my like list is going to be the driver assist features. So namely, I'm going to be talking about the adaptive cruise control. So I'm on the highway right now. I've got my adaptive cruise control set to a certain speed, and whenever anybody moves in front of me or moves away from me, the speed of the vehicle will adapt based on what I have my speed set at, or the speed of the person in front of me, if that makes any kind of sense. Hence the adaptive part of it. So I really like this, especially in more long-term driving situations. So like a road trip to Indianapolis, I find adaptive cruise control to be very helpful, but it's also helpful when you are driving through a construction zone so that you make sure that you're not speeding, and frankly, that you're going with the flow of traffic. So I love the adaptive cruise control. I also really like the lane keeping assist. It's more of like a lane centering technology. So it's trying to keep me between the lane lines pretty centered, and not only centered behind the vehicle in front of me, but then again, centered in the lane lines. And it's not terribly aggressive. I find that if I fall outside of where it wants me to be, it doesn't really jerk my wheel. I do get a vibration on the wheel if it thinks that I'm too close to one of the lines, so that would be the downside of being in a construction zone. There's all these lane lines, but I found that this vehicle is doing actually a pretty good job of picking up the brightest lane line, and it's not trying to steer me off into a wall following lane lines that are a little bit faint and actually no longer really exist anymore. So I think that Toyota has done a really good job with the safety tech here, because it's assisting you, but it's not aggressively forcing you to do one thing or the other. So the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist functionality are the second thing that I really like on the Lexus RX 450h. Now, next up on my like list is going to be this right here, and that is the driving position. So I can't tell you how many comments I get about, do you really sit that close to the steering wheel? Yes, I do sit this close to the steering wheel. I'm 5 feet tall, people. So what I like about this driving position is the fact that it is really adjustable for a petite driver as well as your taller drivers. And specifically, one of the favorite things on this vehicle, well, there's not just one of my favorite things about this driving position. So let's start with the steering wheel. There's a lot of favorite things about this driving position. So first off, you've got the tilt and telescoping steering wheel. This is power. It goes in and out. It probably has about 4 inches of travel. So I can get my seat settled. I can push the steering wheel away from me, and you'll see that my wrist is just dropping over the top of the steering wheel. So that is, in theory, what a really good position is, because you're not, holding your arms out like this. You've got a nice bend in your elbows, and you have room to maneuver. So I'm also going to point out, this steering wheel is more than 12 inches from my breastbone. There's a little bit of a puffy coat, so it may not look like 12 inches, but it is. So this is in the safety zone for the NHTSA airbag tests, and they say that you will not die if the airbag deploys, as long as you are 12 inches from the steering wheel. So this setup is really good, but what I really like is the seat setup itself. So in addition to some really good travel forwards and backwards, the seat bottom itself moves up and down. So I don't know if you can see my knees kind of moving up there, but I like to put the seat kind of tilted down because then I can push my seat back just a little bit farther and I can get a little bit more comfortable in terms of my position because my knee isn't pumped up in the air, which means I have to sit closer to the steering wheel. So tilt to the seat bottom is one of my new favorite features, in addition to a thigh bolster that would move out or in to give more support or less support to the back of the knees, depending on the size of the driver. This does not have that, but the tilt. I like the tilt. So this is a very good environment for a petite driver. And again, somebody who's taller can also use the adjustability for them. However, the other thing that I need to point to is this right here. So a lot of times when you have a C-pillar that is really steeply raked like that, this creates a huge blind spot when you are trying to either make a left turn or you're at a four-way stop and you need to look into a crosswalk, especially if this side mirror is really, really large. So those two things combine to create what I like to call the blind spot black hole, because you've got all of this real estate taken up and then you have to do, one of those if you're trying to make sure nobody is in the crosswalk when you want to go through it. So Lexus has done a good job that even though this is really steeply raked, it's kind of slim, so it doesn't create too big of a blind spot. Then you've got this extra window right here that allows you to see through into the crosswalk or into a turn even when you are driving. And all of that is really good for really any driver. So I like the visibility out the windows. I like the driving position. And so this right here, thing number 3 on my like list. Now, if you have seen the Lexus RX before, this is going to look really familiar to you since there is nothing new on the RX for the 2022 model year. But what I really like about it is just the attention to detail. I love this analog clock. I love the stitching on the dash. And this is a soft touch surface, both here and here. I love this metal accent. I love the stitching and the soft touch points on the door. I love the stitching on the center armrest here, and I really like how attractive these sport seats are. So I think thing number 4 on my list has to be just the attention to detail, from the stitching on the steering wheel to just the nice little accent pieces that you will find around the interior of the vehicle. And even though it's not new, I like it. Now, the last thing on my like list is, well, not this. I actually hate this. But what I like about that, I guess if I want to say I like about that, is the fact that this is now a touchscreen. And again, it's not new for 2022, but the fact that you can touch this screen if you want to make things happen makes me very, very happy. And I will point out that coming soon, when this vehicle gets completely redesigned, this is going away. If you have any doubt about what the future of this system will look like, check out a review on the Lexus NX, because that infotainment system is going to go here and everything will be a touchscreen interface. So, hate this, love this. It is now time to transition to the things that I don't like about the Lexus RX 450h, and since I am in the driver's seat, we will start right here. So, okay, I'm appreciative of the fact that there's a gear shift, because some of the vehicles I've driven lately have a dial, and it's confusing and annoying, and I hit the wrong thing, but it's blocking something here. Can you see what that is? No, you can't. But there are heated and cooled seats back here, as well as your park brake button, and it's pretty much blocked by this. And it's kind of hard to get to those. I mean, I guess you could come around this way easier than you can go that way, but that is a little bit awkward. And this, well, I like the fact that you have a little place to put your phone. You know, again, it can be a little bit blocked by the gear shift. So that here is the first thing that I think is not good. And I don't know. I can tell that they were trying to make some corrections because, again, you know, they're trying to do away with the trackpad and make this a touch screen and add some cool technology. And it's like, okay, where do we shove this stuff? And they just, you know, they had to work with what they had. And I imagine all of this is going to be different with the new redesign. But not ideal. And among the not ideal is going to be the fact that you have wired in Apple CarPlay. So what is not ideal about that is you have plugs right here, but that is not the plug that you use, the USB port that you use to wire into Apple CarPlay. Nope. You have to use the cord that is in here, you know, and then, you know, you shut this and it kind of shuts over the cord, and then, okay, you've got your phone plugged in and you put your phone here, and then you've got cords going everywhere around your drinks. And that's definitely awkward, a little bit annoying, and does not appeal to my organized sensibilities. All right, so the other thing that the gear shift hides is a wireless charging pad. Okay, having a wireless charging pad with wired in Apple CarPlay is one of my biggest automotive pet peeves. And so that is going to make number 2 on my list, because wireless charging pad back there, also blocked by the gear shift, and then stupid wired in ickiness. So yeah, those are 2 things I really, really don't like from the driver's seat. I've moved to the back seat to talk about the next thing that I don't like, and it's actually not legroom, because as you can see, my legroom here is pretty good. This seat is in a far back position, and I have probably about 6 to 8 inches between my knee and the back of the seat, and part of that is due to the fact that they've got some scoops here to give you some extra knee room. Nope, what I don't like is this right here. Yeah, so you have air vents, you can control the airflow, but what you don't have is actual HVAC controls. So you don't have any heated seats, you don't have the ability to change your temperature back here, and that's fine if you're looking at a $20,000 or $30,000 vehicle. I mean, hey, air vents in a vehicle of that price, yay, huge win. But when you're talking about a vehicle that costs $64,000, and that is the sticker price of this specific test vehicle, I think this is a big miss. A big, big miss. There should be heated seats and rear HVAC controls back here. While I'm back here, I'll point out the 4th thing on my list is going to be this right here. Now, this isn't a huge miss, but I just think it's a little bit weird. And that's the fact that this does not have a panoramic moonroof. Now, I believe it's an option. This vehicle just doesn't have it. But again, when you're talking about something that costs $64,000, yeah, all the whistles and bells should be there, and they're not. All right, it is now time for the final thing on my do not like list, and it's going to be this right here. I hesitate to call it a running board, but it is. But it's kind of pointless and actually a little bit annoying. So let me explain. So first off, it's really narrow. So if you actually wanted to use this to climb into your vehicle, okay, you can do it, but keep in mind my feet are a size 4. So I have really, really small feet. And so, yep, I can do it. And then you can kind of somewhat awkwardly sit yourself in the seat as you move around. But the bigger problem is going to be this. They kind of stick out, and every time I get into the vehicle, I'm like hitting my heel, my ankle, my calf. Like, I'm starting to get bruises on my calf because I get into the vehicle and I'm like, bam! And then you get out and it's like sliding up and down my calves, which, okay, that kind of feels like grassed into me. But yeah, if you don't know what that is, graston, it's not pleasant, look it up. But it's like scraping my calf muscles every time I get in and out of the vehicle. So I don't know, it's just kind of, weird and awkward. Okay, so maybe that's a short person problem. I don't know. I would actually like to know from anybody who has this vehicle, do you find these annoying? Are they helpful? Are they pointless? Do they hit the back of your calves? I don't know. This was the very first thing that I noticed getting into the vehicle, and I was like, what in the Sam Hill were they thinking? And I don't remember this, so I don't know if this is an option and special feature, but this is really not necessary. The RX is not necessarily high enough to require a running board, first off, but then second, the way they're situated, if you don't want to use them, they hit your legs because they pop out just a little bit too far. So I'm demonstrating again because this is the single most biggest annoying thing about this vehicle for me. The running boards. They gotta go. If I had to summarize the Lexus RX, I would say that this is a quiet, smooth, comfortable vehicle, and because this is the RX 450h, I really like the hybrid powertrain. It's powerful and very smooth. You can hardly tell when the vehicle is switching between hybrid and gasoline modes. So seamless, quiet, smooth, all good things. Comfortable for the driver, comfortable for the family, but there are a couple of quirky things going on in terms of location of things, cord management, and those running boards. So certainly an excellent vehicle that is getting a little bit long in the tooth. This is definitely due for a significant update, and I can't wait for the death of the trackpad. In all, I really like the Lexus RX, and it's definitely one of those vehicles you should check out if you're looking for a mid-size SUV. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.